thanks for being here, everyone. Amazing event, really great organization. A little bit hot, but when you get outside, you realize how well the airco is actually working. Yeah, we got through the day almost. So yeah, I won't keep you too long from the champagne. So I wanna talk a little bit about what we see in the market in Magento and the opportunities that we see. This is actually kind of a pep talk about how good we think things are looking for us as a ecosystem. And still I was instructed not to walk too much because of the camera, but I can watch the screen better. It's been a bit depressing the past 7-8 years to see the trajectory of live stores on Magento. This is data from BuildWith, public database, where you can see any stores detected. And you can see the black line is the entire internet. So that's any Magento store that's been detected. And then you have the lower lines, the red one, I particularly like because those are, then you get into the range of actually high quality stores that have traffic, have a certain amount of SKUs and do revenue. So the more qualitative the store is, the higher it gets into those rankings. So this hasn't been looking very great. We started somewhere halfway in this graph building Hyvä. We've been fighting against the current, luckily quite successfully. So we've always held on to this, and then quite recently we suddenly saw this on BuildWith. That's Magento making a jump, and people posted about this on LinkedIn, like we're seeing a resurrection of Magento. See how many stores came back. So my intention was to focus on this in this presentation, and I analyzed all the BuildWith data. I exported the database, and I looked into all the geographics and the store data, and then actually it's kind of false data. Most of the stores that were detected in that short period are running Cloudflare, and Cloudflare was probably blocking BuildWith. But it's not all negative. 91% was noise, the other ones were high quality stores. And a lot of these rediscovered stores were actually demo stores or not real production stores. And a lot of them are staging or abandoned. But when we go back to the red line, which is the high quality stores, we actually see that things are actually for a while already quite stable. So if you look at the real high quality stores as an indicator, you also see a slight jump. That's also Cloudflare rediscovering stores, but also some new ones. And then it's also interesting to see that we noticed that 70% of Hyvä stores are no longer discovered as Magento because BuildWith doesn't see the backend. So the stores that we're adding as Hyvä are not included, and we're actually, our customers are quite heavily in this red section. And those 3,237 that we saw added over the last 12 months are not included in this graph. So it's almost a flat line for quite a while already. Things are not going down that much. And then what's even more interesting is that you see most of the decline over the past years has actually come from Magento 1 customers leaving. And I also believe that's not necessarily a bad thing. It would be great if we still go down further in the market and capture more of that market, but naturally this market belonged a lot more to simpler, cheaper e-commerce solutions. So a lot of these have migrated to, well, the well-known breadcrumb platforms. And if there's anything we can conclude from these numbers is that Magento is actually stabilized. So it seems like we're done dropping in numbers and things are looking quite stable. And then if we start to look at the actual quality of the data, we can look at the Hyvä stores that have been added. And it's interesting that we see huge growth in one particular market in Germany over the past 12 months, and it's a year-over-year increase. And that's jumped dramatically. And then another thing that we saw is that the data for France, the increase is not that high, but from the numbers that we've got, these are the highest quality stores. They're the biggest stores. They do the most revenue, have the highest reputation. And the German growth is really interesting because Germany is a very cautious market. They don't innovate that quickly. They only go for proven solutions. Yeah, they're risk averse and hold things back a bit. So the fact that they're adopting Hyvä at this rate, kind of a nice sign, or shows that they put a lot of trust in our products. They want to have all the modern things, performance, no vendor lock-in, the data sovereignty. You want to own your data, and yeah, not rent it. Especially here in Europe, this is kind of a hot topic, and we're happy that we're building on this stack. And yeah, we wouldn't do it on any other platform. Magento is our bet and always will be. So for France, the data that we see over the past 12 months, the 10% plus growth, but the quality, like all the Build-Fit data has 100% quality. So they're all high quality stores, and the growth is maybe a bit slower than in other regions. But if you're an agency serving these merchants, one merchant qualifies for 5 merchants in another country. So you have the biggest fish in the pond. And overall, we saw from the Hyvä data when we're analyzing that the quality of that data is much, much higher. So we can really navigate and trust in those numbers. So we try not to look too much for analysis at the Magento data, but the Hyvä data in Build-Fit. Yeah, why is it relevant? As I already said, or maybe in terms of GMV, because all of the stores that dropped off were low quality, and they didn't attribute that much to the total GMV of Magento globally. And a market in that sense, the amount of money that goes around in the Magento ecosystem hasn't changed that much either. The quality has gone up, and the numbers have maybe gone down, but it's still stable and a huge amount of GMV that goes around. Low-value stores are leaving. We'd like to have more in quantity, but quality wins, in my opinion. And these high-quality merchants are way more perceptive to better performance, higher quality, proper security measures, and ongoing development. And in most of the cases, these merchants are way better off on Magento because they're not paying the penalty for your revenue. So yeah, we're seeing a turnaround, and that's quite a cool thing to see. Especially, these were both on stage today. My French isn't that good, so I'll try to do my best watching back the recording. And anyone who missed that talks, I would suggest you watch them back when they come online. But these are customers that we're really proud about. They set a standard for our customers. And the fact that they chose for Hyvä and they are so successful on Hyvä really for me is a testament. And well, I'm proud about it, and it shows to the rest of the market that this is a safe bet. If they adopt it, then it will also work for the smaller merchants. So yeah, really 2 leaders in their segments. But we have other receipts, and I think as an ecosystem, it's a good thing also when you're talking to merchants or when you're talking about Magento in general. We have loads of success stories, and these will convince merchants. We spend so much time on writing these showcases with the agencies and the merchants, getting their success stories out. And one of the biggest merchants worldwide, with all the different brands, Nestle, they choose for Hyvä time and time again. They're also investing in Adobe Commerce solutions. They're running Adobe Commerce either on the new stack or in combination with Hyvä, with the on-premise. That's why I care so much about on-premise still being around. These customers are really successful, and we get great results from them. So this is really an ecosystem that works well from the top of the market to the lowest point of the market. Yeah, we have Dolce Gusto in maybe 38 countries. Purina, the cat and dog food. KitKat is coming up. They keep adding brands, so we're quite proud about this. Audio-Technica, another really great example of a very old brand selling worldwide. The results that they got on Hyvä using our new CMS are also looking really good. We just launched a new resource with these showcases where also our partners can add showcases. They can showcase their work. We still have our own customer success stories which go more in depth, which also in depth. But this is a way to show how big the range and how many verticals we have and how much success is actually there. So yeah, we have 150 now in that directory. It's growing very quickly. We only launched this a little over a month ago, maybe. So the amount of things that are being added is really nice. And yeah, this just shows what can be accomplished on Magento with Hyvä. And all these showcases constantly show the same thing. Faster loading, better ranking, it's more traffic. Faster checkout, lower abandonment, which means more revenue. A better CMS is easier to optimize. You don't need the developer to spend a week to put on a new content. So you get a faster time to experiment, and your content team can work very rapidly, share previews and drafts and schedule data, content. So yeah, these success stories, they work. We got the receipts, we got the proof from merchants, and this is something that's easy to sell because you can show what the effects are. So we've established the market is healthy. The consolidation is not a bad thing. The numbers that have dropped off are not the worst thing. We know where the merchants are. We know what we can offer them. We have a proven solution. And I really care about the fact that you, as a professional, you can make the decision for Magento again and for Hyvä. It's like no one gets fired for buying IBM. It's an ethical thing to do because replatforming is a huge pain. It's incredibly risky, expensive. Moving out of an ecosystem brings a whole world of pain, and you can build on the things that you already have, already know, and you can improve on it, and you can show to a merchant, these are the results that you will be seeing if you upgrade your current stack. And then finally, where it gets interesting, AI at the moment is it's improving things at such a rate that we actually see budgets going down drastically. And system integrators can do so much more within time. They can spend more time on consulting and helping the merchant grow and deliver more projects, also serve more customers. And they can finally focus on building those new features instead of spending weeks debugging issues. So AI makes things faster, cheaper. And the time to migrate to Hyvä, especially because Hyvä is usually just the front-end component, the time to implement Hyvä has also drastically gone down. And of course, don't blame your agency if your migration actually didn't take just 6 months, because you define the requirements and it always depends. But yeah, in most cases, in all cases, AI is really bringing down the time of development for projects. And if you're not already on the bandwagon, don't waste another day not incorporating AI in your development and throughout the company. It takes some time to trust the output that you get. It takes some time to really build in the guardrails, to put in proper testing and code reviews, and to really learn how you work with assisted development with AI instead of vibe coding, which already has such a negative connotation. A skilled developer can really do so much more when they use AI well. So how we treat AI in our products, in our daily work. Hopefully some of you have seen Vinay's talk, or otherwise go and watch them back as soon as they go online. Vinay had a whole presentation about the things that we do with AI in the company, but to summarize, we have a philosophy and also outside of AI. We don't jump on every hype. We see what makes sense. We make the right decisions. We don't want you to adopt new technology that then will fail or just get scrapped. Perhaps you all know how miserably Shopify's agentic protocol with ChatGPT failed, how bombastically they announced that and how much they invested in it, and eventually 5 merchants used it on the millions of customers they had, and now it's gone. We would never make that decision. We would never waste your time and your budget working on things that we don't believe in, that's not already proven. For AI development, it's proven. For us at least, it's very clear. So the things that we do to help our partners and our customers, we've wrote a whole bunch of AI skills, which is basically a way, it's a document that you give to AI and it understands how it should write code. So you feed it, it's kind of like a library. He uses it as guidelines to write code for you. So the better these skills are, the less time you spend going back and forth with the wrong solution, or it implements outdated technologies. Or so it's really something that we spent many, many months on improving as a workflow so that our products are well understood by AI, so you spend the least amount of time with AI building products on Hyvä. So we're not per se developing that much in-house with AI because we're setting new standards and we're doing things differently than most platforms or already existing solutions do. But for debugging, it's a huge help, and we try to take the perspective of you as a user, you as a developer, using our products, and how we can teach AI to help you do your work in less time and less frustration. So this is open source. This also, as a result, other people built on top of this. So they built an MCP server with our skills, which is then no work at all because the data is already there. So yeah, making this open source also means that the ecosystem can build around it. We have an AI module that we built our products on to build AI into Magento, especially into the admin. And we open source this as well so that extension vendors, when they are building AI into their modules, they can make use of this. So there's a universal way. Can we maybe close the door? So there's a universal way that you implement different AI services, and you don't have 10 different configuration panels in the admin where you all need to put your API keys in. And then we use that for one of our products, Hyvä CMS. You can decide yourself which AI agent you want to use for translations or for data generation. So yeah, we make that as adaptable as possible. And then very recently, our colleague Jeroen, he released Marchands, which is a project management tool with more or less, it helps you to in a very organized manner, work with AI on projects without constantly losing context about what's already in the project and how it relates to other parts in your project. Yeah, this is really meant to help you work more efficiently with AI, especially working in it on an issue-based manner with Kanban. So yeah. we always focused on building the best developer tools on top of our other intentions helping merchants. In the basis, the first thing that we came with was a better tool for developers, and that's always been one of our main focuses. And now as an extra, we're developing with AI in the back of our minds as well, so it's a different mindset. So as I already said with the documentation, we used AI to analyze the documentation, where are the gaps, how well do you understand our code base, and then we improved the documentation, and I used AI again, and then eventually building the skills was done by improving the documentation. Only when the documentation was really good, we could abstract the data to write proper skills. And this is an investment that took months. That's not necessarily something that we use internally. That's just an extra tool for you as an integrator or developer to work with our products with AI. Yeah, and the opportunities that we see actually with all of this, it can be scary, you know, all the stuff that's happening with AI. And are we even going to need a platform anymore? In 2 years' time, will you just tell an agent, build an e-commerce site? But actually, we really feel that Magento as a platform is exactly that foundation that builds in all the proven code base and has all the ecosystem, but especially has this huge history of documentation and tools and a whole ecosystem that AI has used to learn from. And where we were previously really battling the constraints of the platform, and we were frustrated because we needed to do everything in a certain way, and otherwise it wouldn't work. So difficult for juniors to get into, and a high learning curve. And now actually with AI, those restrictions are really helpful, because there's really tight guardrails or really tight rules for how to build something with AI. And in our experience, when you have existing code and AI needs to extend it or build on top of it, it's really effective. It can get you to 80% of the functionality that you need very quickly. When you have someone at the steering wheel that knows what they're doing. So yeah, and I guess that will also only improve in the future that AI actually gets better than some developers. Now another aspect that we think is working really well for us as an ecosystem right now is the part of the ownership and the predictable cost that you have related to Magento. We see more and more of these tools popping up from partners where they compare the cost of Magento versus when a merchant would migrate to a SaaS solution, in this case with Shopify. And if I take really low numbers as a reference point, 2.4 million in revenue, you're already more than break even. Like, it's already cheaper to work with Magento, and that's especially in the fees and the apps that you pay on Shopify. A lot of it is GMV based. If you want to see an exponential view of that, and you increase the GMV to 10 million plus, you're already saving 500,000. And that's all money that you can spend on actually building a better company, building a better website, invest in marketing and everything else. So especially when you start to grow, owning your own stack very quickly becomes more cost effective, even with the patches and the upgrades and everything, which are becoming less and less of a problem, also thanks to AI. And I like this tagline, e-commerce without a landlord. There's no one there to kick you out of your room or your apartment. You own what you invest in. So after you've invested tens or 100,000 euros into your store, which is the same thing. If you're on Shopify, you're still building custom code, but the basis underneath it is something that can just be tucked away from underneath you. Or they increase the price whenever they want. So you're actually building something, you're building equity into your company. And the example of prices being raised has happened multiple times with Shopify over the past 3 to 5 years. They change the terms and conditions whenever they want. They restrict what features you can use, or they just kill off partners and take features into their own platform, and they just lock partners out whenever they can. You could never with open source. Or they just shut you down because some algorithm saw that there's something sketchy they think going on, and then you're just down with your store. And there's no leverage. They control everything. You're at their not disposal. Mercy. Have mercy. And yeah, as soon as you start to scale, your real cost is becoming the payment processing, and you do not control that. Shopify determines which PSP you're using, and if you're not using that one PSP, you pay a surcharge. It's just a fine because you choose your own PSP and they make it more expensive. They could do whatever they want. On the opposite, with Magento, you have ownership. You have no lock-in. Especially in Europe, you own your data. It's on your servers, and you put it on any server that you want, in whatever location you want to have it. No one else is touching that data. You get to pick your payment processor. You can build whatever you want on top of it. And when you leave partner or hosting party or whatever, it belongs to you. You take it wherever you want it to go. And especially when you're larger, the data that you collect is actually also an asset for the company. Would you want Shopify to own that data and then decide to share it with your competitors? And they can run analysis on it, and they can improve campaigns or pricing or whatever for your competitor? I would say no. They can train their AI and everything. They use your data set however they like. They change the terms and conditions, and now they own your data, or you have to leave. Very possible. And you might want to choose local. And I'm not necessarily saying this only from a European perspective. This is just one choice. If you use Shopify, you're on AWS. And you're at the disposal of someone in the US saying what happens with your data and who gets access. If you're in the US, you might not want to depend on services in Europe or from China. In Europe, especially in the current political climate, I don't know if you want to depend completely on an American service, as you've just seen with Anthropic and Claude just being pulled away from us. It's very, very possible that something like that would happen with your payment provider or your hosting company or any service that you use. So, en résumé, I actually think we've been dealt a pretty good hand, and we've just come to realize, looking at where we currently stand, and first being a little bit afraid of what AI was going to mean for us and what it was going to do for us, now actually getting the confidence that this might actually look very positive for us, because we have a major advantage over other open source, but especially closed systems. Owning your data is becoming more and more important, especially here. And the prices of maintaining and owning the TCO of Magento is also constantly going down further, partly thanks to AI. And we try to contribute to the growth and the strength of Magento. That's why last year we open sourced our main product, the team. That's our contribution to try and get the Magento graph to go up. We hope that we'll actually, when we look at the data next year, we'll see true data that actually validates the fact that Magento is growing again. So it's up to you and AI. Thank you.